G'day everyone, welcome back to YJ Garage. I'm very sure if you've tried anything DIY, you're very aware that something that could normally take you 1 second, 10 seconds, a minute, an hour, can sometimes take you 2 days, a week, a month, a year. And worse than that, it can all be because of a stupid mistake. Well, check this out. I left this wrench that was straight attached to my Crankbolt and decided it would be a good idea to turn on the car. I was checking my air gap for my crank position sensor and I was meant to take this off. Got a little bit excited and probably had this hit up against one of the coolant hoses. The hose seems fine. The wrench, however, is not fine. And unfortunately for me, the crank bolt is also being stripped, which more than likely means that the thread has been destroyed. So, can we fix this 10-second mistake? Let's find out.
Alright, so I've ordered this kit off of eBay from Topex. It's got a large range of taps and dies. Particularly it has the one that I need for the crank bolt. Looks pretty high quality. Hopefully it does the job. The kit comes with 2 types of taps. One's called a taper tap and the other's called a plug tap. The difference between the two is the taper has more tapered threads, whereas you can see on the left there, the plug only has about 2 tapered threads. Taper tap, the one on the right, is a lot easier to get started, especially on an existing thread. So we are going to use the one on the right, the taper plug. You'll need to know the size of the hole you're drilling as well as the pitch size. You can sort of measure the pitch by putting the tap against a bolt, and if they line up, that's the correct pitch. Another method is to count the threads, or there are usually tools. This kit didn't come with one that lets you measure pitch size, but essentially it's the same thing, just measure up against a bolt. Next you want to attach your tap to the handle. That's what you'll be turning clockwise and anti-clockwise. It's really important to do this so that the tap goes in straight against the thread or the hole. It's very possible to snap one of these off by going in at an angle, and a tap is hardened. It's definitely stronger than the block, and once it gets stuck in there it would be a mammoth job to try and remove one of those, so we want to try and avoid that at all costs. Next you want some compressed air just to blow out any debris of cutting the new thread, and some lubricant. WD-40 is what I'm going to use. First up we're going to remove the intake tube. Just put that out of the way for now. Alright, that's our new home for the next few hours. First I'm going to try and clean up any debris that might be left over from the damage in the thread, and apply a generous amount of WD-40. Right, moment of truth. So take your time, try and get the tap to catch onto the existing thread. You don't want to rethread. Just apply a bit of forward pressure onto the tap. Once it grabs, turn it a quarter turn to a half turn clockwise, and then normally the procedure is to turn it a quarter anti-clockwise and then repeat that process. However, I'm being a little bit cautious, and after each time that it grabs, I'm backing it out. I did this maybe 2 or 3 times before I started the normal process of forward, quarter back. After a couple of hours, I was getting pretty close to the harmonic balancer, and still no sign of a clear thread when I was putting the bolt back into test fit. Still getting jammed along the way. So it looks like I'm going to have to pull it here, and we're going to have to remove the harmonic balancer, which is a pain. I didn't think this job would take more than one day, but here we are. Alright, so before we get started, we're just going to loosen the 4 bolts on the harmonic balancer. Next, we're going to put the bolt back and just turn the engine over gently until the power steering pivot bolt there is visible. You'll need to get a wrench on that and a spanner on the nut on the rear. I couldn't get clearance to the nut on the back, so I'm just removing the top of the airbox.
Baby, when I look at you, I know my dream has come true.
Alright, here's the nut that you need to get the spanner on. That's my setup with the spanner on the rear, wrench on the front. So just need to loosen that a little bit. Alright, next loosen the mounting bolt. Loosen the tensioner. Then remove the mounting bolt. There's a nut on the back.
I need you by my side.
And you should be able to push the power steering pump downwards and slip off the belt like so. Next belt, we'll need to get a spanner on the rear of the alternator there. You can see I've got a spanner on there already. If that bolt's a bit difficult to remove, you can remove the intake brace. 2 bolts up the top there, and 1 bolt at the bottom just there. Alright, loosen that bolt, just a turn or 2. Then you want to loosen the mounting bolt, loosen the tensioner, and then remove the mounting bolt. Should be able to push the alternator and slip off the belt like so. You can remove those 4 bolts on the harmonic balancer and it should come right off. Okay, let's continue. So repeat the tapping process, just showing here that it's also easy to pick up any debris with a magnetic tip screwdriver. Alright. Towards the end of the day, I'm going to do one last fitment of the bolt. Look at that, looks like we're in business, boys. It's sitting hella flush. Nice. Alright, wish me luck. Alrighty, bolt hasn't spun back out or done anything strange. Go for a test drive and then we'll call it.
There you go, guys. Lots of sweat, lots of tears, lots and lots of profanity to fix a 10-second mistake. But here we go. Probably perfect time to announce that in the next couple of episodes I'll be swapping out the engine. Thanks